The 1995 Space World Mario 64 demo is back in mod form. This time it's brought to you by 96 Flashbacks Show Floor. That's the name of the group, and Show Floor is the name of the mod. Now you may recall that this earlier version of Mario was vastly different. The art style, the HUD, the colors, the maps. I mean, granted, there were some things that looked kinda similar and not quite as fleshed out and recognizable compared to the retail game, but ultimately it looked and played very, very different compared to the retail final version of the game. Now, years ago, you may recall that I covered a version of this mod called the Preservation Project, and they did an excellent job. But even at the time, they kind of lamented that it wasn't perfect, hoping that a group would come in, swoop in, and make it more refined. And that is exactly what this group, 96 Flashbacks Show Floor, is doing. So they took a lot of inspiration from the Preservation Project and utilized some of the level design and a few other assets, but most of the code is actually from the ground up new. Now, before we get any further, I want to thank the sponsor of this episode, the makers of this t-shirt right here, Into the AM. Now, I have worn Into the AM for years now, and I am in love with the designs. They're kind of spacey, kind of psychedelic, a little weeby, and not to mention I also work out and lounge around the house in their joggers. They have more than just graphic t-shirts. Now, the print quality is also very high. I have worn this particular shirt over and over and over again. I've worn it to death, but the colors still pop. It still looks really, really good. Not to mention the fact that these are very, very shrink resistant. Right now, they are running a huge 4th of July sale now through July 7th. Plus, you can click our link in the description below to apply the Hard4Games discount code and save big today. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, and back to the video. So where do I even start with the differences here? Well, first off, look at this, how close he can get to the camera. But yeah, I'm comparing the Mario 64 retail version to the Preservation Project to the 96 Flashbacks Show Floor version to the actual beta build, right? So I'm comparing 4 things, but let's keep it simple. Let's just pretend you don't know what the demo is and how it's different. So first off, let's talk about movement. As you can see here, the triple jump leads to that very propellery jump instead of that third jump being a flip. And a lot of Mario's Z jump movements don't exist. I can do this little side flip thing, but I can't do the long jump with a Z. I'm gonna try to do it here. I run, I press Z, nothing happens. Mario farts, apparently, I guess. We also don't have Mario's Z backflip, but we do have the ground pound, so that's nice. Another big issue is the slip that the original demo had. Mario was very slidey. Very slidey. It took a while to lose your momentum and actually come to a stop when you were running. Now, I'm of the opinion that the Preservation Project overdid this aspect. It wasn't unplayable, but it was difficult. The 96 Flashbacks team believed that that was also the case and kind of reduced the slip a bit to make it a bit more playable. As you can see, of course, the level geometry is just very different. The castle's different, the courtyard is different, this pond area is different. I can't get up on this side, and there is a fence on the other side instead of a sort of a sloping beach and a cannon like what exists in the retail version of the game. The interior of the castle, different color scheme, different geometry, different everything. Also keep in mind this was a demo, so it's supposed to be showcasing a few different levels, not all of them. Jumping into the first one here, you can kind of see that the rooms leading up to the levels are much more simple. You may have also noticed the camera dipped down when I entered the level. Now, the infamous penguin and the penguin rescue exist in this version of the game. Note how there's a fence around the edge though, a little bit harder to kill the penguin baby. Now, if you've played the previous Preservation Project, you may not notice a ton different. The devil's kind of in the details here. But for the sake of those people that maybe haven't and are just comparing this to the retail version of Mario 64, well, it should look very, very different. Much more simple geometry, smaller level, etc., etc. A lot of these levels are, of course, recognizable, but are different. For example, this area is very similar, but there's a whole area in the retail version of the game that would be in front of Mario here that doesn't exist in the demo. I'm sure you've also heard that his voice is different. It had a different voice actor at this point in time, mostly just from a voice sample library. And also Mel Blanc had a few voice clips in here as well, who had voiced Bugs Bunny as well as like thousands of other characters. Like I mentioned, it is a demo, so you can actually jump around to different levels if you want to. All of these areas are basically premature areas of the final builds. Strangely enough, this submarine, the Koopa submarine, is more complex geometrically in the earlier version of the game compared to the retail version of the game. I'm not sure why. Maybe it was a performance thing. Who knows? Again, you can see these sort of hub rooms are very simple geometry, less complicated, less ornate. We showed off this level a lot in the Preservation Project expose. Again, it's just very different. There's supposed to be enemies here, there aren't. In the actual demo, there wasn't enough draw distance to see the thwomps, so here you can't see them in the distance. Little details that have been changed and adjusted to make sure that it is more accurate to the demo version. I always struggled with this area here because of Mario's slip. I keep trying to recreate these different screenshots unsuccessfully. And again, like the other areas, there are just spaces in these levels that don't exist. So in the retail version of the game, you can kind of go down over here to the left. There's a whole different area to play around in. In the demo, it doesn't exist. Note that there's no crosshairs here in the canon. And I'm a dum-dum, here we go. And I slip down to my grave. Very nice. Whoops. You may be wondering, what are some of the other differences between the Preservation Project and this project? Well, this used to be called the Preservation Project Rewrite, which is why the images on the right-hand side say TPPRW. The name has since changed, but I'm just using these screenshots anyways. But as you can see, there are little details everywhere. A lot of it just has to do with colors and texture differences, etc. They also made some improvements to the HUD, and they requested that I record some footage on real hardware via Composite Out to showcase it properly. They were also nice enough to give me a video compilation of glitches, which is a little bit odd because they are actively making the game worse by putting in glitches, but simultaneously, they're actively making it more accurate by putting in the original glitches. So they're actually making it a better mod by making the game experience worse, which kind of doesn't matter because the goal is accuracy. Now this part is a little different. This isn't about glitches, it's about differences in animations and movements that Mario now has. So for the most part, I'm just gonna let this thing play, and you know, this might be something that you'd really have to be familiar with Mario 64 to notice the difference, but here it is. Again, this version of the project is really about minutia and detail. Hey, that's the end of our video for today, guys. Big thank you to the 96 Flashback Show Floor team for walking me through this, sending me builds, answering my questions, recording video, all that stuff. Really appreciate it, and I definitely appreciate all of you watching. Please do me a big favor and leave a comment below. It really helps the channel. And even if you don't know what to say, just, write a comment about why your favorite Mario character is Waluigi, or that cow from Mario Kart World. Either is perfectly acceptable. Either way, thank you for watching, and this mod should be available to the public very soon. I will keep you all updated. I wanted to give a big thank you and shout out to our channel members. Thank you so much, guys, for supporting the show. If you want to support the show as well, feel free to click the link in the description below to get special perks.